This lesson represents my interpretations of the back-end building blocks used in the business model canvas and provides specific discussion on how these relate to online businesses. So these back-end building blocks are the ones that are hidden from your target audience, i.e. at the back end of your business model. Or, using the theatre model, it's what goes on backstage. In this lesson we go through each of them in a little more detail. Here's a reminder of what they are. Number 6, key resources. These are the assets required to create, offer and deliver the product or service and create value for the customer. Number 7, key activities. These are the key activities that need to be performed to create and deliver the value propositions. Number 8, key partnerships. And some activities may need to be outsourced and some resources may be acquired outside the enterprise. Number 9, cost structure. The main costs required to create and deliver the product. So let's look a bit closer now at these 4 building blocks, starting with number 6, key resources. And every business model requires key resources. These are the most important assets required to make it work. Your resources allow your business to create and offer a value proposition, to reach markets, maintain relationships with customer segments, and earn those all-important revenues. Key resources can be physical assets such as manufacturing facilities, buildings, vehicles, machines, systems, point-of-sale systems, and distribution networks. Key resources can also be financial resources and/or financial guarantees, such as cash, lines of credit, or a stock option pool for hiring key employees. Key resources can also include intellectual property, such as brands, proprietary knowledge, patents and copyrights, partnerships, and customer databases are increasingly important components of a strong business model. Finally, key resources can include human resources, which are required in all enterprises, but people can be more or less prominent in certain business models. These key resources can be owned or leased by the company or acquired from key partners. It is important to ask what key resources are required by your value propositions. What key resources are required by your distribution channels? What about your customer relationships? What key resources do they require? Or your revenue streams? Building block number 7 is the key activities building block, and this describes the most important things you must do to make your business model work. Every business model calls for a number of key activities, and these are the most important actions your company must take to operate successfully. Like key resources, they are required to create and offer a value proposition, to reach the market, to maintain relationships, and earn revenues. And like key resources, key activities differ depending on the type of business. Again, it's important to ask what key activities are required by your value propositions, your distribution channels, your customer relationships, and your revenue streams. These activities may be related to the production of the products used in your value proposition. If you manufacture something, then this would be a primary activity for you. But to what extent is problem solving a core activity in your business, where you need to keep coming up with new solutions to customer problems? Consulting and coaching gigs online would need more details here. Or is the platform or network you want to use a big priority? If you are based online, I imagine your website platform is a core key resource, and key activities revolve around keeping it running and relevant. But naturally, there's more. Not specifically mentioned by Strategizer are the key activities related to marketing and advertising, although I suppose they could be hidden in other channels, but I think they are worth highlighting here, especially for online businesses. Number 8, key partnerships. And businesses form partnerships for many reasons, and partnerships are becoming a cornerstone of many business models, particularly online. This building block describes the network of suppliers and partners that make your business model work. So the main questions to ask here are, who are your key partners? Who are your key suppliers? Which key resources are you acquiring from partners? Or which key activities do partners perform for you? So why do you create partnerships? Well, do you want to own all the resources and do all of those activities described in the above building blocks? Well, unless you have superpowers, probably not. So by using other firms to carry out tasks, etc. that you can't perform in-house, you can reduce your operating costs. Do you want to expand your market reach without expensive advertising? Well, that is possible through cooperation with joint venture or JV partners. Your profit margins might be reduced a little, but hopefully you make more sales as more people find out about your value proposition. And online, the JV concept is definitely worth pursuing. Even major shops which sell physical products, e.g. Amazon, have what they call their Associates program, where you can be rewarded with small commissions for referring buyers to their website. These smaller affiliate type programs are quite common online, as well as various major JV projects. The difference between the two is usually the scale at which they operate. The key thing to remember is that it might be better to make a conscious decision to choose to collaborate with someone instead of competing with them. It just might be more useful to connect with other people who already have the attention of your ideal customer. And the 9th building block is cost structure. This building block describes the most important operating costs incurred under your business model. All those front-end, customer-facing business activities of yours where you create and deliver your value proposition, maintain the relationships with your customers and generate revenue, well, they all incur costs. Such costs can be calculated relatively easily after defining the other back-end blocks of key resources, key activities and key partnerships. But the questions to ask here are, what are the most important costs in your business model? Which key resources are the most expensive? Or which key activities are the most expensive? Obviously, you should try to minimise your costs wherever possible, otherwise your profit is reduced. The good thing about being online is that a lot of your costs are pretty low. Compared to the real world, digital space is cheap. The real costs to play in the online world are quite negligible, although I have noticed a recent trend that is putting upward pressure on the price of many of the services being provided. But the bad thing about being online is that you can also find yourself paying, sometimes through the nose, for lots of services and tools you don't really need. And let's cue all of those bright shiny objects again. So when you get to this building block, ensure you list all your major expenditure for all the items you listed in each of the 3 back-end building blocks above: key resources, key activities and key partnerships. So here endeth our discussion of the 9 building blocks you have control over when developing your own unique business model using the BMC. It's also important to be aware of some of the things that you do not have much control over as well. These are external building blocks which you need to be prepared to respond to quickly when and if things change. And we'll look at them next. Parts of this presentation are used under Creative Commons license issued by Strategyzer.com.